Oh, don't get me started. Dead Cactus is a long-running joke with a friend of mine. Very long-running joke. So, oh.
The Muggle struggle is real.
It's a Muggle struggle mug. Okay, yeah. Okay, so for the benefit of the stream, good evening to everyone. We are still waiting for one of our final players to join, but we've got Brian, we've got Dustin, and Sam. Yep. And we are kind of kicking off episode 2 of my Homebrew D&D 5th edition game. So, a little bit of a recap from last session. Episode 1 was really just how do you play D&D, mostly for Sam's benefit, because she's still very new to all this. Our intrepid adventurers had met up in a small village tavern, somewhere in the mountains, in the Ramtop Mountains, in the hub of the Discworld. And a ragged, escaped prisoner burst in, pointing them in the direction of the old watchtower owned by the very elder family that controlled that region. They explored the watchtower, they found a couple of bandits, they dealt with the bandits in various ways, and were irresistibly drawn down into the depths of the building through a kind of hand-chiseled stone, almost a cavern, well, it's not, maybe not a cavern, a corridor, and were transported by some magical means, they believe, to a huge stone. Well, it's just a gigantic stone chamber. Upon investigating, they found a great big effing dragon who has been chained to the chained up in that room for the last 1,000 years, and was the power source for many wizarding experiments. The wizards were his captors. We left the party with a decision to make. The dragon has offered them gifts if they free him, and our party have to decide, do they want to free said dragon? It's like, guys, I'm totally not equipped for this. Got the wrong set of keys, I'm wearing the wrong cargo pants.
You didn't. We haven't given the dragon a sausage yet.
Oh no, yeah. Dustin did throw a sausage at him.
Yeah,
Did
you don't
you?
remember
When?
him throwing the sauce? Yeah.
Oh.
He got very upset.
Oh. just ticked.
Okay, right. I'm just keeping
And
an
we
eye.
won't
Are
free
you
him, but
mocking
we have
me?
to have our own. We have to have our own set of conditions before we free him. But I want it to happen.
So we'll give a couple of minutes until Eric joins us, but in the meantime, yeah. What is everybody's initial thoughts about the dragon's offer?
He seems also very dark too, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's for real. It might just mean get me the hell out of here, and then I can kill you and get the hell out of here.
I mean, whatever's keeping him here seems to be quite powerful.
Yep.
Considering he seems to be quite powerful himself.
That's why I think we would have to try to make our own conditions.
Well,
Do you think
he
you
was
could-
kind of mocking my god, though, too.
Yeah.
Do you know where
Do you think you could bargain with a mythical creature?
Well, only if he's lawful. If he's chaotic, forget it.
Okay, we're already getting a bit meta. This is good. Bear in mind you were drawn here with his magic. You were teleported here with his magic. The psychic attacks he inflicted upon you when you angered him, he could have killed you outright instantly. I think when you tossed him that sausage, you lost a couple of HP because of that, didn't you?
Yes.
So
Yeah, he wasn't too happy.
dragons in general in D&D are usually their temperament is based on the color. Ice dragons, for example, are very conniving, very vicious, and they will just kill you for the fun of it. Whereas your kind of golden and bronze dragons are far more intelligent. Bronze dragons, for example, like to play games. They see humans as curiosities, almost like having a pet. Let's see what tricks we can teach him. So
that's what I'm afraid of. Is that one of our party members wants a pet dragon, and I see a dragon wanting three pet little humanoids.
I didn't say I wanted a pet dragon. I said I wanted to make it my sugar daddy. It was totally different. He can take us to all of the golds. He's been around a long time. He knows some tricks.
You're not the bard.
Yeah. We have
It's
to.
all of the nuance, right?
You know, this
Brian's
is actually something funny that I saw on my Instagram feed the other day. Because I just follow a load of D&D hashtags on Instagram, and it was the conversation between the DM and the player. It's like, bardic player, I'm going to charm the dragon. DM, roll your dice. Bard, natural 20. DM, okay. Rolling for damage. Bard, what? DM, yes, it's a male dragon.
Oh, that's funny as shit.
Kind of visualizing that right now.
I saw one that was.
I'm trying not to.
The DM got upset, and it was like, okay, it shapeshifts into you. Basically, go F yourself.
Yep.
So what I would say is, because this is Pratchett verse, not everything in the player's handbook will apply. So, Dustin, for you and Brian that are experienced with D&D, and you've probably read through much of the monster manual at some point over the years, many of the traits that they put down in the handbook do apply because they're just very generalized. Specific traits I'm not going to be sticking to. So, the fact that black dragons are always spitting poison and venom is not necessarily something we're going to be playing with. That said, depending on the path you take and how far down we go through the story, you may encounter other dragons with other abilities. I'm not making any promises. Just depends on how you play your game. What I will say, though, is that swamp dragons do exist in this world. And they're tiny little dragons about the size of an Alsatian. They live in swamplands and have a proclivity for blowing themselves up. Because all of the the gestational gases and liquids that they have in their 8 stomachs means that they are living on the knife edge between life and splatter. So when
Sounds
people
like a good familiar for you there, Dustin.
when people in this world think dragons, they think little swamp dragons with kind of cute little fox-like heads. They don't think great big room-filling, planet-killing dragons like you're almost standing in front of at the moment.
But if Sam wants to free this and feels that there's a way we can come to terms and trust that it will uphold those terms. That's the key. Do you
We gotta talk
trust
about it though, because if you guys don't, like, he was a little bit of a dickhead. And let me tell you, I don't want that damage count.
No, but that's the thing. If we say no, do we have a way out of here?
It looks like he's got his
He already
situation
demonstrated his
set up there,
fire.
Sam. Sam, Eric's in the waiting room.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Eric.
Now Omar and I can high five. Omar, you can't leave me hanging.
Hang
This
on.
can't happen.
Going that way.
I don't know
Have
which
to
side
grab
of
me.
the
Yes!
screen we're
The
on.
other hand. The other
'Cause-
hand.
From what I can see, it's actually this side.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Here, let me see Twitch.
Good Sam.
Oh, okay,
Good
here.
Yeah.
Sam.
Here. I gotta do my other hand then? This is baloney.
No, the same hand you did before, Sam. Omar's got.
No,
Yeah.
no, this is my other hand. This
Yep,
is crazy.
that's my side.
No, but Omar's on the other. Omar's over here.
I know,
Omar-
but not on his stream.
The
Almost in
layout's
the middle.
different for every one of us,
Oh,
but we're just going by what's on the stream because that's what's on my screen.
That was so
Oh,
weird.
It's alphabetical order by your
Okay, well,
name, and then
Oh.
camera
So on
Yeah.
screen.
comes first.
so I high-fived you on that.
Just high five the
Whatever,
back
I'm
of
glad
my
you
head.
high-fived.
It's on this side for me.
That's so weird,
Okay.
'cause the stream is the exact same the way I see it.
Really?
No, it's
This is
different
so
for me.
weird.
I'm just moving my camera about so where faces aren't going to be
Oh, that's funny.
obscured. Right. We're just waiting for Eric. Still having problems with his headset by the looks of it. Eric, I don't know if you can hear me, but just double check your Discord settings. Mine have a habit of losing whatever I've set, and I just have to reselect it every time I start a new voice call.
Yeah, and also make sure he's not server muted, Sam.
See
He
the.
shouldn't be.
I don't see
I
a
don't know
mute
how to
icon.
do that. Oh, I see server mute. It's not a thing. It's
Okay.
he's definitely not. He's here.
Okay, so you've been propositioned by the dragon. Are you going to be staying put while he kind of lays back down and drifts back off to sleep?
Yeah, I think we should search around.
Okay, well, the
I don't
room
think
that
he
you're
sees
in,
us as too much of a threat.
the room that
I
you're
don't
in
think I see us
looks
as too much of a
like,
threat.
well, from what you can see where you're standing, the ceiling is maybe 200 or 300 meters high. You've got big stone columns holding the ceiling up. The room is easily a kilometer long and probably about half as wide. If you want to take a walk around, you can see that the giant chains that's actually holding the dragon in place disappear down into the floor. So in each floor there is a hole chiseled away in the stone, reinforced around the edges, and the chains disappear into that hole. There are 4 of these holes, 2 on each side. So you've got one chain stretching across the dragon's upper torso, and then another chain stretching across his lower torso, pulling him tight down to the ground. As you approach the chains, who's going to be doing the investigating?
What's everybody got for intelligence?
I can do it, I guess.
Okay, give me a d20.
That's going to be a total of 7.
Okay. You approach the chains with interest. You kind of stumble a little and lose your footing slightly on the very, very smooth hewn stone, and narrowly avoid sliding down into the hole. And you kind of throw out a hand to kind of catch your balance, and your hand touches against the chain. The moment your hand touches the chain, runes begin to glow on the chains themselves. So these huge meter across black metal chains have a runic inscription wrapping around each and every link of that chain. And the moment your hand touches it, the whole chain lights up with these runes. The dragon shifts very, very slightly, and you see him just raise one eyelid. He snorts, and a little jet of smoke puffs out from his nostrils.
I really want to ask him what they mean.
Well,
Don't
I
think he's in the mood to talk to us.
think I can actually use one of my abilities that I have there. I'm gonna try using my insight in regards to the runes that lit up on the chain.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
I actually went with the tiki rum after all.
You did?
So that's what
I
we
can't
got.
do it tonight.
17 plus.
Yeah, plus 4 comes out to 21.
Very nice. So you are a cleric. You've been tutored in many different religions, and as part of your education studying religions, you've also studied many different languages. The great god Ofla, with the body of a man and the head of a crocodile, has existed in many different cultures and religions over many, many years. And some of the ancient scrolls that you've looked at have been written in different languages. Now, this is a language that you do not recognize. You recognize that it's runic, and you surmise that some of the languages you've studied may have come from this language. But you can't read this. Some of the characters look familiar, but when you translate them in your head, they just don't make any sense. Kind of like how I might look at the Greek alphabet and recognize, oh, that looks like an R, but I've got no idea what the word says. So this is an ancient language, more ancient than you've ever seen. At least in your studies. Okay, Eric is just restarting and trying again. He's just going to reboot his computer.
I wonder if it's like something similar to like a draconic language.
Do you speak Draconic?
No, I don't speak draconic.
That's unfortunate then, really, isn't it? It's like, damn, I should have taken that night class.
Well, the thing is like I probably could work around this as well.
Would it have? Oh. Would it have been a language? Whoever wrote this spell probably would they have put it in Draconic? You think?
Sure, if you can answer that one.
Do any of you speak Draconic?
No.
Nope.
I mean, we wouldn't know if it was.
If you spoke it, you would know if it was or wasn't Draconic. That's about as much as I could say.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I do have Elvish, but then Sam's Elvish too.
I think we all have Elvish.
I have ancient runes.
So, Sam, your knowledge of ancient runes, very similar to Brian, our cleric. You recognize that this is so ancient that it predates your ability to read runes. This is written in the language that became your ancient rune language, maybe several hundred or thousands of years later. So this language is old. We're talking eras old. Now, Sam, you did recently acquire a new skill in your magical ability.
Yes.
Hint, hint.
But
Leave
which
it to
one?
suspense here.
Which one would work? I know you gave me that like whatever one I can't pronounce, but that just puts them there.
That was prestidigitation. I did also suggest you take.
Yeah, that.
I did suggest you take
That one.
comprehend languages, didn't I?
Ooh.
I do have comprehend languages.
You
I wanna
do.
use comprehend languages.
Wouldn't this be
I
a
didn't even
great
think of
opportunity to use it?
that. Okay,
It's
I
like,
want to use
right,
it. I
roll
didn't
the
even
sleeves
pay
up.
attention to it.
Wizardy time.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Well, mine has Diet Coke in it too.
Oh, is that Joni's drink?
That's Joni's drink, yeah.
Hey, I didn't understand the coconut thing. Is it 2 shots of just coconut, like, what's it called?
Well, when she was messaging me in Discord, she had like a coconut syrup. But what I found at the grocery
Okay,
store
that's what it was.
just a coconut extract, like vanilla extract. So I was just using like a teaspoon of that.
Okay.
Take
Cool.
take coconut milk. Add equal parts white sugar and coconut milk and boil it until it reduces down to a syrup. So put it on a low boil for like 20 minutes and that'll give you a coconut base syrup. I always keep base syrup in the fridge because I do a lot of cocktail mixing. But yeah,
She
Go on.
She does half Diet Coke and half chai tea latte, or chai latte, and then she does 2 shots of the coconut syrup stuff.
Chai latte powder and Diet Coke just doesn't sound at all nice.
I thought the same, but she's like, you have to try it. It's the best drink ever. I haven't tried it yet, but that's what he's drinking right now.
No.
Watermelon Mountain Dew.
I found this in Walmart.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that's probably the stuff that she's talking about.
Yeah.
Because it'll be whatever Starbucks sells, and I think Starbucks sells Tazo as a brand.
Yep.
Yes. Is it good, Brian?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. Well, like I was describing to Joni there, is you kind of get that bubble from the Coke. You get the cinnamon taste from the chai.
Coffee, though.
Well,
bubbly coffee.
I'm just imagining if you mix anything milky
No.
into Coke, it's just going to curdle. Because Coke is just almost raw acid that you're drinking. I've actually lowered the pH of my drink by putting so much rum into it.
I hope it's good, Bri. I hope it's good.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so Sam, your spell,
the one I forgot I had, comprehend languages.
Your spell, you know instantly it's not draconic. You know it's a derivation of ancient runes, but it's so old that even your magic can't decipher this particular language. It appears to be based on ancient runes, but your instincts, rather than the spell, tell you that maybe this is like a wizarding shorthand that may have been based upon ancient runes thousands of years ago. Without a fully fledged, highly trained wizard in the group, you're not going to be able to read these.
Then we might have to resort.
Getting me to use another ability.
You can.
So you continue around the room. The walls in this room are entirely smooth. They've been chiseled so perfectly they could not have been done by man. You believe that this cavern, rather than being built from stone, has been carved from stone. because these walls are too smooth. The seams that appear to be blocks of stone aren't actual seams. They're just ridges cut into the stone to make it look like building blocks. The walls around the dragon are completely solid. The only way in or out is the raised dais that you came in from and the huge stone double doors.
It's
The
almost
dragon
sounded like
is
something made from stone giants or dwarves.
Well, possibly. The dwarven certainly could carve a room out of solid stone.
He's back.
But you've also bear in mind that this is a space that wizards have created to hold a dragon. So this could easily have been magically created. Now, given the size of the room, you've kind of got to wonder what they did with the rest of the stone. Because if they've removed about 1 cubic kilometre of stone from this room, where did it go? So
Into the tower?
You've circled the entire room. You're back to the front door. Eric, good evening.
Eric.
Well, it may have the sensitivity set up on your microphone.
We can't hear you. Looks like you can hear us, though. Are you muted?
Not showing him muted in the channel unless he's muted on his
How's
headset.
that?
There
Is that
you
better?
are.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Hi.
welcome. Just to let you know, I am streaming this, so my stream is live at the moment.
Yep.
And we're just kind of catching up where we left off last session. Did you get a chance to watch episode 1?
I watched most of it. I think I finished it while I was sleeping. So...
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's subliminal. Excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, to take a couple of points of psychic damage from dreaming about the dragon in a pervy way. So you've walked around this chamber that the dragon is being imprisoned in. It's solid stone as far as you can tell. There's no gaps. There is no bricks. There's no entrances or exits anywhere aside from those 4 giant holes in the floor where the chains disappear down into, and the giant stone doors that you came in through on the raised platform. As you circle back, the giant raises another eyebrow. Tourists. And a little puff of smoke comes out of his nostrils and he settles back down.
Oh, you're muted, Sam.
I know, because she was walking back and forth. What did he say?
Tourists.
Oh.
You have my offer. Free me, and I will grant you gifts. Now leave me in peace so I may rest. He closes his eyes, settles back down, and as he does so, the braziers that have been burning brightly with this octarine fire start to dim down. Did I mention octarine last episode?
I can't. You may have.
Okay. Octarine, in the Discworld, octarine is the colour of magic. It's all the colours of the Aurora Borealis rolled into one. The greens, the teals, the purples, the deep indigo blues. That is the colour of magic. So when wizards cast magical spells, you might see an octarine glow around their fingers while they're doing it. Different wizards will have different levels or different colours that emit when they're using magic. But this is clearly magical fire that's been burning in these giant braziers. and that purpley, greeny, pinky blue colour just subsides as the dragon kind of retreats back into rest.
I want to ask him if he's hurt.
He doesn't respond.
This soul is hurt.
He could have been hurt in general.
No, it's such a tortured soul. He could have been an artist in a previous life.
Uh-oh. I don't know.
Now, as you climb back up the stairs to the door on the raised platform, you remember that carved in these giant stone doors was a depiction, almost like a frieze, a huge image depicting a great battle. On the ground, you see many robed figures. You can see fireballs and lightning bolts leaping from their hands as they battle each other. In the skies, you see what look like smaller dragon-shaped creatures with riders on their backs, swooping around the battlefield and also firing magic and breathing fire down onto the wizards below. And in the center of the frieze, you see the Ramtop Mountains. You see the huge mountain range at the center of the Discworld, and it climbs right to the very top of the carving as it would head up towards Cori Celesti, which is the home of the gods. As you look past the door, you remember when you walked in, the first room that you came into was equally as large and equally as impressive. But there was a round shape carved in the floor. And initially you'd ignored that and moved on to the stairs. Hint, hint.
Maybe a well?
Well, we should probably just go back and look.
So you step through the main doors, and as you do so, the stone doors kind of swing shut on their own accord. There's no sound as they close, no big thunderous bang as stone rends against stone. Instead, all you hear is a huge rush of air, almost like a vacuum is being created and something is being sealed. You step down the other side and you make your way towards the center of this room, and you look down at the stone carving on the floor. It's maybe 5 or 6 meters across, and it looks like somebody has carved a circle and divided the circle up into slices. It looks like 12 slices in total. So it looks almost like a cartwheel, but with 12 spokes to this wheel.
Or a clock.
Or a clock.
Is there any markings or anything around the outside ring?
You bend down. You brush away some of the loose dust that's accumulated around the edge of the ring, and as soon as your finger touches the ring lights up in that red color. The spokes light up, and the center hub lights up, and you feel a rumbling, and you hear the sound of almost like glass rubbing against glass. It's not stone rubbing against stone. It's far too smooth and too perfectly chiseled to ever make that grinding stone against stone sound. It's more like glass sliding against glass. And the section of the clock that you touched begins to rise. And as it rises, more and more sections begin to appear. And the
An
stone
ascending stairwell.
begins to spiral up towards the ceiling. You're still muted, Sam.
Ascend.
So within the space of 30 or so seconds, this stone spiral staircase has almost unwound itself from the floor and risen all the way up to the top of the cavernous ceiling, 300 meters above you. Just as you look up, you see just the faintest glimmer of darkness as the stone touches the top of the ceiling. Not light, because light would imply that there's an expectation beyond that room, but it's darkness of a different colour. The rogue will know this implicitly. Darkness has a colour. Darkness is not black, because if you stand in a dark corner wearing all black, you're just going to stand out. Darkness isn't black. Darkness is more of a deep, rich green or an indigo blue, and it kind of melds between those colours, but darkness is never black. And when you were looking up at the ceiling, you just saw darkness. Once the stone spiral staircase reached the top, a tiny crack of colour appeared in that darkness, and it looks more blue than anything else.
I want to go up the stairs.
It's magical staircase in a magical room filled with a magical dragon next door. I mean, I'm not really giving you many options here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up the magical frickin' staircase.
Awesome. You begin to climb. The climb takes you some time. Takes you a couple of minutes to climb up these huge stone stairs. And as you get closer and closer to the top, you start to see that darkness isn't darkness. It's more like the deep indigo of a night sky. And the closer you get to the top of these stairs, you start to see that actually these stairs are opening up into another space. And above you in that space, you start to, well, as you get within 10 meters or so, you start to see more of the blue. Now, Sam, with your night vision, you start to see little twinklings of what could be stars. You reach the top of the stairs, and you step up onto a solid stone floor. Everything is in complete darkness, except the twinkling of stars above you, and huge, looming, rectangular shapes around you. Now, Sam, with your dark vision, your elven night sight, you can see that these are solid shapes, but even your dark vision requires some latent, minuscule amount of light for you to be able to see anything at all. And all you can see are gigantic rectangular objects standing on the floor, stretching up towards the ceiling. You can't see the top of these things. As you look around, they look almost like buildings, but they just don't seem to stop. They just stretch up towards this starlight sky. And through the very, very vague light that these twinkling lights above you are casting, you can see that these buildings, or these building-looking shapes, are arranged in very orderly, very neat rows. And they stretch out to the side of you, and in rows going forwards. You appear to be standing at some kind of crossroads. Can I get a perception roll from everyone, please?
Well, I got a 11 altogether.
I got a 23.
I'm still looking for my perception.
So,
Where's that?
in your abilities, you should be a +3 on your perception.
Okay. Okay, then I got 20 in total.
Okay. Brian, you're literally groping in the dark here. You can see almost nothing. The sheer space and these massive dark shapes that you can barely sense or even hear are just killing any sound or any feeling of movement of air. The rogue and the ranger, however, are used to being in the dark. They like the dark. They live in the dark. But this is a
I'm
dark.
waiting.
This is a dark like they've never seen before.
I keep thinking in my head that Sam's going to say, I am the darkness.
What? No, I was going Bane, but whatever.
In the very corner of your eyes, where the rods and the cone receptors in your eyes are struggling at their absolute limit to just grab the tiniest bit of light, the two of you see what looks like a gentle blue glow over to your right, maybe 40 or 50 meters away. The glow seems to be getting slowly brighter.
I want to put myself behind one of these rectangles, away from the light that's coming towards me.
Okay, you move towards the rectangles, and the minute you get close to it and you lay your hands on it, it's hang on, this is wood. This is a wooden structure. You run your hands around the edge, and you can feel horizontal spars of wood, and in between them, what feels like hard, ancient leather. These are bookshelves. You press yourself up against the bookshelf. Dustin, are you doing the same?
I actually want to turn to the cleric. Ask, can you cast light? Do you have an ability to do that?
Yeah, so I that's one of my cantrips. So yeah, I can
I
produce
have
light.
a map scroll. If you can cast it in that, we can kind of use it as a flashlight to give you some light.
Well, like when I cast my light spell, it just shows as a light
just
green
go-
orb that floats wherever I want to move it to.
Wherever you want to? Okay.
The invention of a flashlight does require a reflector and a lens, however.
Reflector? Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I would have to probably have magnifying glass along with that. But,
Okay.
So, with that, I guess I will probably... You said this blue light's kind of moving towards us?
It is. Once the cleric activates his light spell, you all see straight away, yeah, these are bookshelves. These are bookshelves that are massive beyond your imagination. They stretch so far up that they're... Basically, these bookshelves are taller than the range of your light cantrip. You can't see the top of these bookshelves. And within your range, you can see there are dozens of them. You're standing in what looks like almost a crossroads between these bookshelves. And as you step towards the bookshelf, your cantrip illuminates some of the edges of these books. And they're all ancient leather-bound volumes as far as the eye can see, in all directions. The blue light seems to be drifting a little bit closer still.
Could the rogue possibly determine what language? Or is it similar to the ancient language that
Many of the books are written in the ancient. The spines have got titles or symbols on them that match some of the runes that you saw on the dragon chains. But there are also languages representative of almost every language you've ever heard of, every language you've ever seen, and thousands of others that you've no idea what they even were to begin with.
Okay.
This is an ancient library that you're standing in. And the blue glow is starting to get a little bit brighter. Your light spell has
Librarian's
attracted
coming.
some attention.
All right.
Can I go around and try to come behind the light and try to see what it is?
It's still a good, 30 or 40 meters away. But if you want to ready yourself for combat, then that's certainly your choice.
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to keep the light to see, or if you feel that we should put this light out. As this blue light approaches.
As you're deciding amongst yourself, the glow begins to get closer and closer, and you can see that it's a glowing shape hovering, maybe a couple of feet off the ground, and it looks vaguely humanoid. As it gets closer, you see it's the glowing shape of a very, very elderly man, and he appears to be carrying a great big pile of books in his hands.
Could be the librarian. Maybe we should just talk to him.
Agreed.
Yep.
So he drifts a little. He can't really see whatever this thing is. It can't really see around the pile of books that it's carrying, but it seems to notice that the space is getting a little bit brighter as he gets closer to your location, and the kind of glowing, wispy shape of a giant pair of bushy eyebrows and some thin spectacles pops up over the top of the books. It's like, oh, we have visitors. Oh, this is frightfully fun. He kind of swivels around so he can speak to you. Good day to you. Where are my manners? I am the librarian, and welcome to the Orichalcum. How can I help?
This is the most beautiful library I've ever seen, and I want to actually go there.
It is quite something, isn't it? This library has stood for... Oh. What year is this? No, it's not. No. The year of the wriggling prawn was... No, that's gone. Is this the sideways crab? No. You know, I honestly don't know. But it's definitely very, very old because I have to do a considerable amount of dusting. Anyway, I have books to replace. Is there anything I can help you with?
What is this whole place for?
He kind of looks at you over the top of his ghostly spectacles. It's a library, my dear. This is where they keep...
dragon downstairs, my dear.
Oh. The librarian is... How should we put this? We'll put this very gently. He's a ghost. And for a ghost to display any kind of emotion or physical change is usually quite impressive. However, you kind of... The surprise on his face when you mention dragon, his eyebrows leave his head. and his glasses kind of just hover in midair. It's a what?
Well, it's locked up, so it's not going anywhere.
Wait. He kind of twists around because he's still holding his pile of books. You were downstairs?
Yes, we were.
Well, Eric's in the waiting room again, Sam. Well, I do hope that you were polite to our guest downstairs. He has a reputation for being quite cranky. Anyway, very busy. Was there anything I can help you with? Do you need a particular volume or anything?
Maybe, we were wondering what a certain language was.
Oh, language studies. Yes, follow me. And he zips off in the direction of, well, that way.
To find a dictionary.
I'm following him.
Okay, you take off after the librarian. For a very elderly bloke, he's moving quite fast. About 3 feet off the ground, of course, but he's moving quite fast. And he kind of ghost skid to a halt. I'm not even sure that's cartoonily possible. But he takes the corner so quickly that the pile of books almost looks like it's going to tip over out of his hands as he goes around a few corners. And eventually, after several minutes of running, you manage to follow the glow. Let's see, Eric is back in. Eric is currently muted.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm
there
on
you
my
go.
phone now because
all the Windows updates are done?
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Okay, you're coming through a little bit quiet, but you are coming through, so that's good. So you follow this ghostly apparition around several corners, and for several minutes you just about manage to keep up with him. And he stops in an aisle of these monstrous bookshelves that looks pretty much no different from every other bookshelf you've gone past. You haven't seen any symbols or numbers or letters or even category headings on the edges of these bookshelves. They're just thousands and thousands and thousands of books on shelves that are hundreds of feet tall. Right. Okay. Which language?
First language.
Well, okay, we have pictograms on that side. If you want ancient rock carvings, you'll need to go down and to the left. Could you be a bit more specific? This is a library, after all.
More of a runic type language.
Ancient runic language.
Ancient. How ancient, my dear?
The very beginning.
Well, in that case, he gestures over to one of the bookshelves behind him, and you kind of crowd around. He's kind of balancing the stack of books in one hand and just running his finger along some of the volumes, and points out several books to you. Okay, you'll want to start here. This is, no, maybe not. Maybe Wailing Jehoshaph was not the best, he really wasn't very good at translations, you see. We have Mad Philip, no, the drawings and the margins are somewhat lewd. Okay, he pulls a few volumes out and carries them over to a huge table behind you and lays them down. Okay, well, this will get you started. If you need me, just yell. And he drifts off around the corner, humming to himself.
Nice fellow.
I heard that. Thank you. Oh, by the way, he kind of pokes his head out from behind one of the bookshelves. I know you have your little magical thing floating there, but reaches up and snaps his fingers, and the entire room is filled with that beautiful octarine coloured light. Purples and greens and blues and pinks, and you see just how big this room is. I.e., you cannot see the edges of this room. It disappears off into the distance, almost like it's curving around the horizon. Above you, you see what you thought was a starlit sky is actually some form of enchantment across the ceiling of this space. You are still in a physically enclosed space. But where you had just starlights before, the ceiling is now illuminated with the Aurora Borealis, and that is now illuminating the whole of the library. Light enough that you can read by. On the table, what you thought were just empty candlesticks flicker into life with the same blue and pink and green glow, almost as if they're gas lanterns of some sort. Sam, your curiosity always seems to get the best of you, and you kind of hold your fingers near one of these little glowing candle lights, and there's no heat. Absolutely no heat whatsoever. If anything, it's slightly cold, and you kind of play your fingers through the flame with no ill effects.
Cold fusion.
Sounds like something I would do.
Just like the rogues
Okay,
are.
I'm gonna cancel my light.
Okay.
And I will thank the librarian for giving us light.
By the way, was there anything else? I mean, after all, this is a library.
Who owned this whole building? Who owned the entire thing?
Oh, well, that's a very good question, my dear. He floats back. He's still holding the stack of books in one hand. Well, you are I shall start from the beginning. This is the Orichalcum. The Orichalcum is the greatest wizarding library in all of this world. Every amount or every minuscule, tiniest piece of knowledge is contained here somewhere. The great wizards built this library as a single repository for all of the knowledge of time. Anything you want to know, you will find here.
Then
Oh,
why
the temptation?
Then why have a dragon captive downstairs?
Well, the wizards who built this, they needed a power source. They had to power their magical experiments and their spells, and where do you think all this pretty light comes from? Think of the dragon as a reactor of sorts. And he is a bit grumpy, so he definitely reacts, if you get my meaning.
So if he were to go away, would...
Well, he couldn't. He's. I don't see him being able to free himself. The chains that they bound him with are, of course, magical. I don't know what kind of dragon-proof metal they could have used, but they are indeed bound with spells. And, well, there used to be so many wizards here once upon a time. This place would be full of students, making a mess and leaving crumbs everywhere. Goodness. I think I seem to have spent my entire life cleaning up after these wretched students. They don't even put the books back in the right place. I mean, all you have to do is put the book on the trolley, and then I will come and sort. But no, not the... And the ink spillages. Oh, cleaning up after all the spilled ink. Don't get me started. I do miss it a little. There's been no one here for a very, very long time. It's just me and my books. They're all my little darlings.
Why do you stay if you're alone?
Well, who else is going to look after the books? All these volumes of magic? All of this magic in a confined space. Strange things happen in a magical library, my dear. A magical book is not just paper. It has latent energy inside. The amount of fights that I've broken up between books at times. There's a whole section in the back where the books have almost gone feral. They've attacked each other. The smaller volumes just get eaten, and the bigger ones just... Well, no, it's horrid. It really is horrid. Are you familiar with L space?
No.
Are any of you wizards? You don't
No.
look like wizards.
My
Oh.
magic's more divine.
Quite.
Okay. Well, L space. A magical library of this nature has so much latent magical energy that odd things begin to happen sometimes. Sometimes you're walking down a particular row and you find yourself teleported to another part of the library, just at random. Sometimes the hairs on the back of your neck will start to prickle. Sometimes the books will attempt to eat you. Strange things happen. I remember once a student disappeared down one of the rows, and when he emerged, he'd aged 40 or so years. It really wasn't very flattering. Strange things happen in library space. It's not just your normal 3 dimensions. This much magic can warp time, and it can warp space. Hence, we call this L space. So, if you're going to explore, do so carefully, or just give me a call, and I can guide you.
I have one more thing.
Yes, my dear.
I want to use my spell, and I want to put the runes that were on the chain on the floor and show it to him and have us translate what it means.
Okay. You... Okay, I'm going to ask you, how do you want to display the runes? Are you going to kind of like have them displaying on the table, displaying on the floor?
Displaying on the floor.
Okay, so you reach down and you wipe your hand across the floor, and it's almost like your hand is printing the runes temporarily on the floor. The librarian looks down. Oh, you're very right. This is very, very ancient runic. He floats over to the table and starts flicking through the book that he'd laid out for you. This book is monstrous. It's the size of a dining table in its own right.
That's why I figured I'd narrow it down a little.
Okay, are you wanting to translate, or are you just wanting to get the gist of this?
Gist, please.
Gist. Okay. Flick, 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 flick. Oh, by the way, flicking through the pages is like flick.
More of a Librum then.
Okay, so if you start here, this will give you the outline of the basic syntax and the grammatical structure. The alphabet does change from era to era, and some of the more ancient cultures did kind of get a bit crazy with the squiggly things on the edges of the runes, but that's just flourishes, really. Yes, yeah, everything you need should be in these few pages here. The rest of you, do you have any other requests?
Not at the time.
You, sir, you were the you said you were a cleric, yes?
That's correct.
Oh, I see you have the symbol of one of the newer gods. This is I believe that is Offla, the crocodile god.
That is correct.
Yes, new money can be so vulgar. If you are interested, we have a lovely section just over here where you could continue your studies. In the meantime.
Of the earlier gods?
Well, there are thousands of gods that you can read about, but if you wanted to read up on Offler, I'm sure we'd have some volumes that maybe have predated your studies.
That would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, so Brian, the librarian, leaves Sam with her huge volume of ancient languages and guides you round to another area of the library, the religious section. You notice that this, instead of just a giant austere-looking table, it seems to be more cushion-y. Lots of little throw cushions scattered around on the ground for you to sit in comfort.
Our clerics are delicate.
Dustin, do you want to engage with the librarian in anything particular?
What would you recommend for research further with Offler's earlier days?
Well, Offler himself, didn't just spring into existence. There, as I said, there are thousands of gods, but the basis of all gods is that when one person believes in that god, that sheer power of belief creates a physical manifestation of that god. The more people that believe in his power or his abilities or just in himself makes that manifestation stronger. And the more followers he has and the more devout his followers become, the more power this god will attain. There are thousands of gods. There are gods of almost every animal species has its own gods. Deities are not unique to the lesser intelligent of humans, of course not. But over the years, gods will diminish as their followers decrease and decline, and eventually that god will just out of existence. Now, the death of a god is a tragic thing, certainly, but unfortunately it does happen. Eric,
Was
have
there
you got...
anything of the ascendancy of Offler?
Well, okay, let's have a look. He pulls down a few volumes that you reckon are considerably older than anything you've ever studied in the temples. In fact, the translation of these will take you some time. But yes, this goes back pretty much to when Offler was a little egg.
Okay.
So that's you going to be busy for a while. Eric, are you up and running? I can see you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to figure out computer stuff, but yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Dustin, is there anything that you're looking for in particular?
Yes. Do you have a section on dragons?
Dragons. Yes. Well, we did. It kind of caught fire. It's a dreadful travesty. I mean, who on earth would put books on dragons together in a small, confined space? Because your book about fire-breathing dragons will occasionally breathe fire. So you have to open these books at some substantial arm's length. There really isn't much left that I can point you to. Many of the wizards decided many years ago that it would be best not to know. A horrid time. We librarians have always been incredibly disappointed about the destruction of knowledge, but with such a immense being below us, they didn't leave much to chance, should we say. But yes, follow me. He takes you down to a couple more aisles, and there doesn't seem to be much left in this particular corner of the library. The enormous shelves that stretch up out of sight have been burned to cinders. You've got just a few corners of a bookshelf that are still intact. Some of the books are scattered around on the floor. They've been very, very badly burned. There are one or two volumes that still look like they may have some information, where only the leather on the outside has been charred. Dustin, while you're there, you notice something sitting, a shape sitting in the corner of one of these bookshelves. It appears to be a very, very large man-shaped creature, just sitting down with its legs, with its arms wrapped around its knees.
Has the librarian made notice of this person?
Oh, him. Yes, he's a golem.
Golem.
Okay, perhaps you're not familiar with golem. He is a construct. He's a construct of clay. Basically, he is a clay man, entirely inanimate until the activation words are written down and placed in the cavity of his head. At which point he will animate and he will carry out the instructions that have been written for him. That's what golems do. They are servants for those learned in the magical arts. If you need a guard who would defend you with his life, you create a golem and you write the spell that activates him. Whatever you write on that piece of paper, he will follow to the absolute letter, without question and without diversion.
Does he belong to anyone?
No, he's basically sat here for as long as I can remember. I think he may have once been part of the construction of this space. I mean, you don't imagine wizards would actually lift a sleeve to do any of this work, do you?
No.
So he's not activated then?
Well, you're not there, Sam. You don't know.
Bullocks!
Okay.
But at the moment he's dormant. He's completely deactivated.
Dormant. If it were possible, would it be okay if we used him, if we needed to, at some point in time?
Yes, that's fine, but I would suggest you are very cautious in how you do this. Many people do not like constructs of this sort, because if you're not specific enough about your instructions, and there is any ambiguity, shall we say, in your instructions for him, there could be problems. He will carry out these instructions to the absolute letter. And we had some problems with the earlier golems that were building this space when I don't even remember the wizard's name now. It's been so long. The wizard who created him just said, "Carve rock where I tell you to." And when there was no one left to tell the golem what to do, it just carried on carving and carving and carving and carving. These are magical beings. They don't die, they don't get tired, they just follow the instruction that is written on that paper inside of their head. And Eric, this is where your character comes into play.
Yes.
So at the moment, Eric, you are sitting on the floor with your knees pulled up to your chest, and you are almost in stasis mode, waiting to be activated.
Another question, I guess. When it is done with its task, what happens at that point? Does it just deactivate on its own, or is there a way to deactivate it?
Well, that depends on what you write on that slip of paper to instruct it. If you tell it to stop when its task is complete, as long as it knows what its task is, it will stop. If there is nobody around to tell it to stop, then yes, as I said, we had some issues. They just kept digging and digging and digging and digging.
Okay, that's good to know.
So as I said, many people do not like these kind of automatons constructs because you start them up and sometimes you can't stop them. The words that have to be written for the golem to follow, the instructions must be very, very carefully written. They're not intelligent, sentient creatures, remember. They do what the words tell them to. So if you are going to use it, just be careful.
Okay, thank you.
The librarian drifts off. So at this point, we are going to allow you guys to have a long rest. Sam, you're still muted. We're going to allow you...
I know, I'm talking to my kids and
Okay.
trying to listen to you at the same time.
We're going to give you a long rest while you study your various volumes. Dustin, if you're going to activate this golem, you're going to have to be very, very specific in your instructions. But we'll consider this a long rest while you read up on your volumes, and we'll also use this opportunity to take a break.
Okay.
So, I'm going to pause it here. We'll take, let's say, 10 minutes just to get our refreshing beverages refilled. And I'm going to pause the stream also. So,
All right.
See everyone in a moment.
seems to be holding fine now.
Okay.
So give me just a second.
Yeah, I've got the Google Pixel 3.
I've played around with Pixels before, and it is the kind of pure Android experience that you don't get with the Samsung, because once Samsung stick all their software on top of it, it stops really being Android. My youngest stepdaughter had a Pixel for a little while, and then she switched over to iPhones because, fashion.
I can't stand iPhone.
I can't stand them either.
I went over to Android and I never ever looked back.
I know a lot of guys in tech that I've worked with. I mean, these are like directors of information technology within companies, and they use iPhones because they deal with tech all day. They just don't want a fancy phone that does all the things.
Damn.
They just want something
Eric's
that's
there.
really simple.
What?
Eric's there.
I was like, what are you talking about?
So, if you want a phone that's a phone that doesn't really do anything fancy, maybe iPhone's your best bet. If you want to be able to install pretty much any ringtone you want from an MP3 file, then yeah, you're going to go with Android.
And that's what I was going to say. I can YouTube to MP3 with like a couple clicks from here, and that's crazy. You can't do that on an iPhone.
What we're doing right now, what I'm doing right now with 3 different monitors, streaming, Discord, and keep an eye on like chat and such, you can do with an Apple computer, but it's so much more difficult, and it's considerably more expensive because they'll charge you like 10 grand for a monitor and another grand for the stand that it sits on. Anyway, right, let us continue. So, all of you, we are going to count this as a long rest. Sam, that means that your hit points are going back up to maximum. So you should be back up to your, what are you now, 21 HP?
Why would my hit points be down?
Until your hit points have increased when you leveled up. Yeah, so you got an extra 12 hit points total, but whatever you were at before would still be that. So if you were, say, at 6 hit points before, you're still technically at 6 out of 21.
Yeah, 21 was it.
After a long rest, your hit points regenerate. Also, your magical spells regenerate. So if you've used any of your level 1 spells, you would have marked it off on your character sheet. You can now erase that mark. You're back up to your full spellcasting ability. Remember, cantrips don't require any magical energy. They're just almost like instinctive magic. Dustin.
Guys, I used a freaking spell. Whoa!
Dustin, while everybody's been perusing the library, the librarian brought over a couple of books about the creation of golems and the use of golems. Sorry, not golems, golems. It's a different spelling. Golem. And you've had a chance to... you've had a chance to read up on how golems work, and you've got a rough... You're pretty confident that you can get this guy working, but you do have to be very careful in the command that you write down and put inside of his head cavity, because if you just say dig, that golem will just dig and dig and dig and dig and dig. It will never stop digging. It's a magical creature. But if you say, follow my commands, it will follow your commands to the absolute letter. Almost to an ironically amusing limit. So, if you imagine the most ultra-literal command that it could follow, that's what it's going to do. Imagine let's break it down. Imagine you've got a robotic arm that you're programming, and you're telling that robotic arm, whether it's working in a factory, pick this up, move here, put this down, and then start again. Pick this up, move it here, put it down, start again. Pick it up, move it, put it down. And it's just that robotic arm's just going to carry out that program forever until you physically stop it. And that's how a golem will work. So if you say that you want it to follow your instructions, then it will follow your instructions to the literal letter. If you say you want to protect us, it will protect you. But unless you say what you're going to be protecting it, what you want it to protect you from, it will take it very literally. So I'm going to leave you to have a think about how you want to structure your command to this golem, because frankly, we do need Eric in the game. But whatever command you issue to, whatever command you plant in the head of this golem, it is going to follow that to the literal letter. So word your command very, very carefully. For the rest of you, Sam, you have been reading up on this ancient runic language with your additional magical ability of comprehending languages. That has helped considerably, and you believe that you not only can translate these runes, but you can actually make some reasonable sense of what is written. Changing the letters into something you can recognize is one thing, but moving the words around so it forms some kind of grammatical structure is a whole different thing. What I want you to do is, on your character sheet, in the skills section, which is there, can you add history to your special skills? So where you've got history, I think you've got a +2 on history.
I do, yes.
So if you fill in that little circle, so it's a solid circle, that's now one of your learned abilities. And change your +2 to a +4, because you're now proficient in that skill, so you're adding your +2 proficiency bonus to it.
I love history.
Now, I'll caveat that
Skills I could've picked.
that's history, but specifically in languages. Okay, it's not just history in general, it is specifically in the history of languages, because your studies have taken you so far beyond just that runic script to understand. And we'll come back to that in a moment. Brian, on your character, did you have religion as one of your traits?
I believe so. Oh, no. I got medicine and insight.
Add religion to your proficiencies.
Okay.
So fill in that dot and add your +2 proficiency bonus to that as well.
So +2 and +2?
So yeah, that should make you a +4.
Oh, so I did these other two wrong. Because those are both wisdom based, so they should be 6, not 4.
Okay, you've had a long rest. You've had a chance to have a quick dip into your rations and had something to eat. Basically, you're sitting there with a bunch of books and some purpley, greeny, bluey candlelight, and you're just stuffing like bags of potato chips into your face. I know you guys get the ketchup ones, but we get some different flavors over here. Because one of the most popular ones they are limited runs even in the UK, but the Worcester sauce flavored ones are fantastic.
Oh man, I've seen some crazy ones like cheeseburger and all that kind of stuff here, but I still love ketchup, and I'll dress the best.
They do occasionally bring that stuff out in the UK, but it never does really very well. The ketchup ones are very popular. The Worcester sauce ones are popular. Or if you're American, the Worcestershire sauce.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Over
or
here,
Canadian, apparently.
over here we abbreviate it to Worcester. because it's Worcestershire. Ketchup.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire, they were better tasting.
Well, Worcestershire is actually a county in England. It's in the Midlands near
Yeah.
Birmingham. Anything ending with Shire is, I mean, it's the whole that's where Tolkien got most of his naming conventions from. But Shire means the lands around the city of Worcester. So Worcester is actually a city. It's one of the ancient cities with a cathedral in, and Worcestershire is the land around the city of Worcester. That's how the translation works.
That's way cooler.
So where I live in Northumbria, Umbria is the old Celtic word for Shire, for the lands around something. So Northumbria literally translates to the lands of the north.
It's actually kind of weird because the counties around here, I'm actually right beside Northumberland County.
Yep. Northumberland and Northumbria are used interchangeably for where I am. So just below Scotland, just below the Scottish border, you've got Northumberland on the east coast, and then you've got Cumberland on the west coast, which is where Cumbria and the English Lake District is. So Northumberland for me is technically north of the River Tyne. So I live south of the River Tyne, but only by a couple of 100 meters. So yeah, you've got Northumberland on the east coast, and you've got Cumberland on the west coast, and that's where Cumberland sausage comes from. So it's like a breakfast sausage, but seasoned with lots of black pepper.
Aren't those patty ones?
No, Cumberland sausage is normally a ring. They're normally like bent and joined into a ring.
Oh no.
But yes, many foods are based on the counties that they were created in. Like cheddar cheese actually comes from the town of Cheddar. Cheddar Gorge is a town famous for cheese making. They've got huge natural caves in the cliff walls, and that's where the cheeses were stored to mature.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, it is what you think of as morning. As far as you can tell, the ceiling hasn't changed. It's still this beautiful starlight night sky with the Aurora Borealis playing over the surface of it. During your studies, you've seen the librarian just kind of floating around, moving books from one shelf to another as he goes about his regular duties. He stops by every so often just to check to see if you need any additional help. But you've completed your studies. Dustin, you are very well versed now in you've read the user manual for the golem. So you believe that you can now operate this piece of machinery in a competent manner. Sam, you've read through so much in Ancient Runes that you've got a good understanding of some very ancient languages, which paired with your spellcasting ability will give you a tremendous bonus. And Brian, your studies on Offla have not only widened your religious ability, but I'm going to allow you a +1 to your wisdom.
Nice.
Now I got a 5 instead of a 4.
Oh wow. You had basically a 20.
So
Well, no, I rolled an 18. So with being human, you get a +1
Plus
to every
one.
stat. So
Yeah.
wisdom 18, add 1 is 19.
So again, Sam, for your benefit, the difference between intelligence and wisdom: intelligence is knowing how to start a fire. Wisdom is knowing not to stick your hand in it.
Makes sense.
Okay, we seem to have lost Eric again.
Yeah, he keeps popping in and out. So
He's popped back in again. Welcome back, Eric.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
Dustin, how do you want to command this golem?
I wanted to to follow the command I give it until I tell it to stop following my command.
Okay. Is that your final answer?
So reminds me on how to word a wish spell.
Yes, basically. Okay, Eric, do you want to?
Yeah.
For any loophole.
Eric, do you
I
want to write
know.
that down, because that is the pure existence of your character.
Right, yeah.
To follow the commands that Dustin gives you until he tells you to stop.
All right. Just let me write that down real quick.
Okay, Dustin, you borrow a little slip of paper from the librarian, and you write these words onto that piece of paper. You fold them up, and walking around behind the golem, you see the whole creature is made of clay. It looks like it's made of earthenware, just lacking the glaze that you would typically find on earthenware dishes. And in the back of its head, you see there's a small door. You open the door, and you can see there's a cavity inside the golem's skull. You put the piece of paper, nicely rolled up, you put the piece of paper into the cavity, and you close the door. You kind of feel like you're leaving a message inside a bird's nest for someone, for some strange reason. The minute you close the door, you step back, and you can see that the golem's eyes have started to glow red. And they're casting almost like little red beams of light around where it's looking. And the golem slowly rises to its feet and stands there waiting patiently.
Terracotta Warrior / Terminator.
Okay, are the rest of you going to regroup at the stairwell?
Yes.
Okay. You all begin to move back to the central staircase. It takes you a while to find your way. The ranger has slightly better natural sense of direction, but this is not a natural space that you're moving in. And it takes you some time to find your way back, but eventually you do. Dustin, are you bringing the golem with you?
Yes, I'm gonna command it to follow me around at this time, and to the stairs.
So, Eric, you've played D&D before 5th edition, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you're well aware of how carefully you have to word a wish spell. Because you get malicious bastard DMs like me sometimes. And I know Brian knows exactly what I'm talking about. So
Right.
every command you give...
I never thought I'd ever have a golem in my power. Like, this is so much stress right now.
You have a golem as a pet. And every command you give it is effectively wording a wish spell. So just be very aware of that.
Okay, I know what. Let's call Eric Murphy. It's Murphy's Law.
Let's go, Murph.
Oh, well, it does know who Murph is.
Murphy. Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong.
I've always been more of an Occam's razor kind of guy. Okay, you give that instruction to the golem. Eric, your principal role, I think, for the first the early part of this game cycle is going to be interpreting his instructions as literally as possible.
Yeah. I just want to ask ahead of time, are there any other stairs in this place?
There is only this one spiral staircase leading up into the library. You haven't found any other entrances or exits.
Gotcha.
Also, remember, my game is high on comedy.
Right. Yeah.
So, you congregate towards the central staircase, and the librarian drifts over to you. It's like, oh, okay. Are you all done?
We
Well-
are. I appreciate every single thing you've done for us.
I must say, it has been a tremendous pleasure to have you. There's no crumbs lying everywhere. There's no pencil shavings. You're just such nice guests. Oh, and I see you got the golem working. How's that working for you?
Precious.
So far, good.
Yes. Okay. As long as you were very careful with the words that you gave it, I think you'll be fine. They're not intelligent in that they can make their own decisions, but if you give them specific enough instructions, they will react accordingly. I remember the wizards used them as guards here at some point, but that didn't end well. No. And this actually, now that I think about it, I think this one was originally assigned to janitorial duties. Unfortunately, nobody told it to stop cleaning, and the floors became incredibly well polished. It's a marvel. Right. Well, look. If you're popping down, something I wanted to give you. If you just follow me, he floats off to what looks like a large reception desk, almost like a big U-shaped desk filled with drawers. On the top of the desk are 3 rings, like jewelry rings. And in each one there is a stone that glows with that octarine light. It looks like a little starlit sky with the aurora borealis playing through the rings. Right. These are the orichalcum rings. As you probably noticed, there are no entrances or exits to this place. This is how you enter and leave. So make sure you wear these rings at all times, and if you want to enter the orichalcum, just hold the ring and say orichalcum, and it will transport you here to me, where we can imbue more knowledge upon you.
Question.
Yes?
Does it take you and only you, or can it take somebody if you're touching them?
Well, I suppose it depends how much you can carry, my dear.
Okay.
But yes, anything that you are holding or wearing will. Goodness, could you imagine if you turned up naked? Oh, the shock of it. Of course, anything you're wearing and carrying will be transported with you. So yes, I suppose if you are holding the hand of somebody, then yes, they will come along with you. Did you have anyone in mind?
Just curious.
It is frightfully romantic under this magical ceiling, isn't it?
It is.
One day it would be lovely to see the open stars again. But for now, I must make do with being trapped in this mountain. Oh, did I not tell you?
The mountain?
Yes.
The mountain on the door.
The orichalcum is carved in the heart of the Ramtop Mountains. It was the only way the wizards could be sure that their knowledge would be protected. There is no way in or out apart from those rings that you have. Magical teleportation spells will not carry you far enough. That's why we are deep within the mountain. Goodness knows where they put all the stone. I've always wondered about that one. Anyway, I shall leave you to go about your tasks. Fare thee well, and come back for future knowledge, and bring some stories. I do love a good story.
Okay.
He floats off.
I look at the rest of the party and say, if this is the only way we can get here, how did we get here without one?
That's what I was thinking too. But I'm also thinking about where the chains led. They led underneath, and I feel like there's more to it, but there's no, like, we already looked around there and we couldn't see anything, right? That there was no.
Well, we're at the top of the mountain, so it probably leads deeper into the mountain, I guess.
What makes you think
What
you're at
about
the
the
top of the
stairwell?
mountain?
That's correct. We are not necessarily at the top of the mountain.
What makes you think you're not thousands of miles underground?
Because we didn't see stars. We saw magic on the ceiling. It wasn't the sky.
True.
So,
Also, for going down, maybe the staircase goes both ways.
True. But
So-
the dragon.
what you're all standing around the top of the stone spiral stairs. What would you like to do?
Descend.
I want to tell the golem to follow me down to the bottom of the stairs. Stairs.
Eric, this all interpretation is now entirely in your hands. Do with it as you will. Okay, so the party proceeds down the spiral stairs. Eric, are you going to be able to successfully negotiate these?
I mean, I suppose so. Should I roll something for that? I haven't moved in quite a while, I assume, so.
Well, I mean, it's not like you've got like a bit of lumbago to worry about. So,
Right.
climbing stairs is something that would be relatively simple to do.
Yeah.
Your joints move well enough that you've got some flexibility and dexterity. You can jump, you can run to a certain extent, maybe not as fast as a human, but you can move quickly across uneven ground, so you're not completely helpless. But yes, you can follow the party down. You're basically following a couple of steps behind the ranger.
Yeah.
Okay, after a few minutes, you arrive at the bottom of the stairs. Some of you are breathing slightly heavier than others.
Sorry, we're not breathing at all.
Are you heading back to the dragon chamber?
We need to talk about this first, fellas.
I think
The dragon is a power source, clearly just used for it, and I get that if we take that away.
What's more important, the life of the dragon or the value of the library?
But he did say that it's only doing like the light stuff, right? Or no?
As far as we know, that's the bare minimum that we know. He's powering this place,
He's sustaining everything when it's in the library.
including maybe the magic.
Well, the wizards were using him as a power source to fund their experiments and their magical works.
When the students were there, and now they're not.
So, yes, I would say that the power draw on the dragon has been considerably less, which is why he's had at least some ability to summon you here.
This poor dragon, though.
Yeah, exactly. Is it really right for that dragon to be used in this fashion?
Hell no.
That was funny because you just looked up at me. I almost felt like the Brady Bunch for a second there.
Save the dragon!
Hey, you stay out of this.
Good night, Ma. Good night, Pa. Good night,
Oh, man.
Jim Bob, Jimmy, what's his name? Jason, what? Okay, so are you heading back into the dragon chamber? Okay. You make your way across the floor, the golem following you a couple of steps behind.
No, he said to the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, I said to the bottom of the stairs. I haven't commanded it.
Okay, so you make your way across, and the golem is standing dutifully at the bottom of the stairs.
At this point in time, I will.
This is great.
Sure.
This is fantastic.
Follow me into the next room.
Okay.
And then stand to the right of the door.
Okay.
And wait. And stand there.
Eric, you're reasonably happy to follow those instructions to the letter. That's easy enough for you to do.
Yeah. Easy. Yeah. Easy
Okay.
enough.
The four of you, well, the three of you enter the dragon chamber. And again, as you step down the stairs from the doorway, the braziers start to glow again. With a wonderful purpley blue and green colour. The dragon lazily opens an eye. You have returned. Let us hope it is with more interest than your casual skitterings around.
I'm gonna go pet his nose and say that I'm sorry that this happened.
Okay, you reach out towards the dragon and it rears up away from your hand. You see the glowing red of flame start to billow in its nostrils.
I'm backing the fuck off.
Withdraw your hand very slowly.
You mocking me?
We have talked and do not agree, or we have come to an agreement that we do not believe that you should be held captive here for the purposes of empowering this place.
Well, I must say I am shocked by your decision.
I need to go and read the runes on his chains.
Yes, I had only dared in my wildest dreams hoped that someone would come and save me. It lies down in a sarcastic huff.
Question. What is your name?
My name is not for the likes of mortal creatures.
If it
You
weren't
wish
for
to
the
be
like
free.
mortal creatures, you would never be free.
Then I shall roast you where you stand and waste less time and energy upon your bickerings.
You kill us, you'll never be free.
Perhaps not by your hand. No. He lays back down and closes his eyelids and the fires and the braziers dim down to a gentle candlelight level. Are you going to investigate the chains?
Yep, I'm gonna go see the chains.
Okay, you make your way over to the chains. I said before there were 2 chains crossing the dragon. It's 3. That's my mistake. So there's 3. One across his shoulders, one across the middle of his back, and one across his lower hindquarters. You touch the chains, and the chains spring into that glowing red colour. The runes start to glow. Sam, you're going to need to... You can recognise the characters that you're looking at now. You will still require the use of comprehend languages to fully translate these. And you may want to make a note of these, because what appears on the chains appears to be 3 riddles. Oh, now there's a surprise to anybody who's not played D&D before.
Walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs during the day,
and drags its ass around the carpet after a bottle of gin, my dear. Yes, it is me. Right. You touch your hand on the first of the chains, and the runes spring into glowing life. You're able to translate the following. Everyone has it. Those who have it least don't know. Those who have it most wish they had less. But not too little, nor none at all. You move to the second of the 3 chains, and you touch your hand to the chain, and again the runes spring to life, and you translate the following. I don't have eyes, but once I did see. Once I had thoughts, but now am empty. So, I don't have eyes, but once I did see. Once I had thoughts, but now am empty. And then you move down to the third and final of the chains, lay your hands upon it, and the runes spring into life. You will always find me in the past. I can be created in the present. But the future can never taint me. So you will always find me in the past. I can be created in the present, but the future can never taint me.
Well, shoot.
Riddle me these questions 3. I need a genie's outfit for this part, don't I?
What is your quest?
We gotta figure these out now.
No help from the chat.
Did any of those ring any bells to anybody?
Not like right off the top of my head.
Okay.
So I'll start with the first one again. Everyone has it.
Can you hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me, because I hear absolute nothing.
I can hear you.
I
All
can
of a
hear you
sudden.
as well.
Give me 1 second.
I would raise my hand, but I think it'd be a little
I'm going to disconnect
Pointless.
and then try and come back.
Yeah, the golem hasn't been instructed to raise his hand.
Yeah, that's fair.
So everyone has it. Those who have it the least don't know. Those who have it the most wish they had less, but not too little nor none at all.
Pretty good, because I'm not too familiar with these rhymes.
The first one I've heard before, and I'm trying to remember.
I don't know why fear comes to my mind.
So which one are we looking at? Sorry.
First,
Just the first one. Everyone
the
has
first one.
it. Those who have it least don't know. Those who have it most wish they had less, but not too little nor none at all.
I would almost want to say time.
That too.
But then,
But I
like,
never
going
wish I
along,
had less time.
No.
yeah, like, yeah.
I mean, I'd happily say maple syrup because I've got diabetes and I wish I had less of that.
Okay. I think I know. Is it a secret?
Okay, well, if you want to try it, just lay your hand on the chain and speak the answer.
Wait. No.